It's been a whole season's worth of races since Kasey Kahne has come to victory lane, but now he's back, and he's among a very elite group of drivers. He's in the group who has won at a road course in NASCAR's Top Series. It's his first win at Infineon, first win on a road course in 11 tries, and his 10th career win. But perhaps the most impressive thing about this effort today is the fact that Richard Petty Motorsports is now a winning organization for the first time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts, alongside of Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer, and in for Kenny Wallace, Hermie Sadler. And when it comes to excitement, it seemed like restart after restart after restart. These things are never easy, but Kasey Kahne had to dodge a lot of bullets.
That's what I want to talk about. 4 restart, guys, double file restarts. Now, let me tell you, very easily could spin the tires. 4 times, one of the best road racers right on his heels, Tony Stewart, and he pulls away. What a great job by Kasey Kahne.
He was able to get out on the restarts every time and get a little bit of a cushion, but he had one of the best road racers in our sport pushing him to the limit, and Kasey Kahne stayed on course, did not make a mistake. Look at this restart, Jimmy. Great forward bite on these starts.
And the key is here, Hermie, as he enters turn 1, he's got plenty of cushion there going up the hill. And you're right, he had the best guy on his heel. But you know what? The respect amongst all these guys. You know, Tony, Marcus, Jimmy Johnson in there. You got to give him a lot of credit, Johnny.
But these guys really handled this double file restart in a professional manner. It made for great excitement, but these guys give and take when he needed to.
It could have been a disaster up there at the front. It also could have been disastrous results for Kasey Kahne. Let's take a quick look at the highlights. We'll get much more in depth a little later on in the program, but we got to show you a little bit about what went on this one. Brian Vickers led us to the pole for the 4th time this season, and he jumped out, led a bunch of laps, did very well until he had misfortune a little later on in the race. Now take a look at the misfortune for Kyle Busch as he tries to lock him up, gets in the back of the 77 of Sam Hornish Jr., and for all intents and purposes, Kyle Busch's day was done. They had a lot of work to do on the number 18, and Kyle would not be a repeat winner here at Infineon Raceway. Now we have Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch, and this one didn't work out too well for Kurt Busch in the number 2. A shot at winning this thing just went up in smoke as he went into the outside wall there, got the tires, and that was all she wrote for the number 2. Now these are 2 racers that came from the same discipline of racing in the sprint cars in the Silver Crown Series, Kasey Kahne and Tony Stewart. In fact, they raced for the same owner out west at one time, and here they are battling for a win in NASCAR's Top Series. Your final restart of the day came here. One more chance for Tony Stewart, but Kasey Kahne simply was not going to be denied today on the road course. He now enters the ranks of those who have won on the road course, and also a 10th overall career win. And as we mentioned just a moment ago, very significant to have Richard Petty Motorsports back into victory lane, and there is the king himself. And we should have a celebration tonight fit for a king for this number 9 team. As in wine country, we have Budweiser beer in victory lane.
Well, you know what I want to talk about a little bit here? The guys that had problems, the 29 car cut a tire running in the top 10. The 88, he gets spun out running in the top 10. The 2 car, as you saw a little highlight there, Jimmy Johnson, could have used a little better judgment, running in the top 5. The 07 car running 11th. This happened in the last 10, 15 laps, Hermie. A lot of excitement at the end of that race.
And how about some of the guys that came back from disappointments to start the race? A.J. Allmendinger had problems the first part of the race. He comes back for a top 10. Elliott Sadler was trying to ran in the tires over there halfway through the race. He comes back for a top 10. 3 Petty cars in the top 10. This goes to show you when the pit cycles come around, you don't give up. Get back on the lead lap, and you got a chance for a good finish.
And another great story to talk about today is that of Marcus Ambrose. Goes to the back of the pack after blowing the engine in practice and then makes it back up to a 3rd place finish. Stick with us, everyone. We got a live edition of NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed coming your way here from Infineon Raceway, and we'll talk to the big winner in just a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America banking center today. And by Touch of Gray from Just for Men.
It may be wine country, but there's beer in Victory Lane. Casey Kane is now a road course winner here at Infineon Raceway, and the first of 2 road course races of the season have brought us the king to Victory Lane and have brought us wine country here in Sonoma County.
Richard Petty started a new gig right there. You see that Dodge hat?
The hat dance.
Cowboy.
That was pretty cool.
That's the king. He can get away with it, John.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to do it. You know what? He's a king. He can do whatever he wants.
Well, you know that. It's awesome to see Richard Petty back. You know, Hermie smiling. This is pretty special. That's what's great about NASCAR. A lot of different winners this year. Petty finally in Victory Lane.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why he did that merger. The name's still alive. Casey Kane got the king back in Victory Lane.
Well, let's take a look now at the first 40 laps of the race. That's about what you would expect for a fuel run. Take you back to the green flag when it waved today. Can't say enough about how beautiful this place was today with the weather and the scenery and everything. And it looked pretty good to Brian Vickers.
Yeah, Brian Vickers got off on the start, Jimmy. Got out front on the start, was able to get away and held the lead up until about, lap 18 or 19 before the 18 finally reeled him in.
And we heard him on our show this morning. A lot of guys said this car was really, really fast, but it wasn't fast on long runs. But here you can't convince me of that. He's pulling away from the guy that won this race last year, Kyle Busch here.
And then there you see the 9 of Casey Kane going by. Got to keep an eye on him all day long. And the 47 of Marcus Ambrose had to go to the back of the pack, but as an accomplished road course racer, the Tasmanian Devil just started working his way through the field.
Well, we saw him last year in the Wood Brothers car here, Hermie. Just drive that car up to the front. You knew he was going to do that. Very impressive. In about 6 or 7 laps, he's got 12 or 14 cars past.
Yeah, I mean, he passed more cars than anybody on the racetrack today. Great job by Marcus Ambrose.
Now, one of the few bad spots of the day for Richard Petty Motorsports, the 44 of A.J. Allmendinger. He got off course, Hermie, but he got back on.
He blew a left front tire heading into turn 7. Did a great job of getting it back. You can see it right here, Jimmy. Trying to make the turn and get into the S's. Tire blows. He goes straight off the racetrack. But as we talked about, he kept his cool, was able to come back.
Lap number 13 is where you thought this could either be a big payday or a bad move by Marcus Ambrose and his team. They pitted on lap 13, and the strategy worked out very well.
But, Johnny, I didn't think this was a good move at this early stage in the race. This is, man, this is awful early. You know, Frankie, hit this car quick, Hermie.
You know what he did? He was in so much traffic. They said, come on down pit road. We'll get our car. We got a good car. Let's get out of this traffic. Let these guys beat and bang and use their cars up. End up working out good for Marcus Ambrose.
Stay tuned because it's going to work out pretty well for Marcus Ambrose. Take a look at some of the best road course racers in the business, beating and banging. You saw Robbie Gordon, and now the 18 goes by the 83 of Brian Vickers. Kyle Busch, the defending race winner, goes out. Actually, the defending race winner from last year goes out and starts taking the lead. We got a new defending race winner.
Well, I know, but what impressed me here was how good his car was. Now, fans, we're in, you know, like the 15th, 18th, 20th lap here, and he starts to really put it on here, and he pulls out to a pretty good-sized lead.
You know, restarts were so crucial today after a spin by Jeff Burton in the 31 car. Watch the restart that Kyle Busch gets.
Yeah, I mean, and he took the inside line on the inside of turn 1, and the opposite line that we'll see Casey Kane take on some of his restarts, so it can work either way.
And you know what, fans, look at this. These guys did a great job. I was really, you know, looking forward to these restarts, and they did a fantastic job, as we see here going through turn 4, 2 by 2, good racing.
Denny Hamlin, Boris said, going to have a few words to say to each other here after this one as they get into each other.
Yeah, that there is a situation where, like Hermie had just said about the 47 car, getting in this bunch of traffic and all at once it becomes an accordion effect, and that's what happens. You get spun out.
18 comes in for a pit stop. No events here, but this was strategy for everybody on the race course. You had to decide when you're going to pit, and again, you're talking about maybe 40 laps on a full tank of fuel, and here comes the smoke.
Yeah, Tony Stewart was coming all the way through the whole time, always ran up front, stuck to their strategy. They wanted Tony Stewart to run fast all day long. They did his gas mileage according to they turned him loose.
One of the few places that Kurt Busch hasn't won on, one of the few kinds of tracks, is the road course. He doesn't have a win yet, but he was hoping to have one here. Passes Denny Hamlin, and then Denny Hamlin takes the lead back again.
Well, he made a little mistake entering that corner, but you know, this was good racing, fans. We saw a tremendous amount of respect today. I did. Amongst, you saw Denny and Kurt getting this together here. You saw you saw the 83 of Vickers and the 18 of Busch racing hard. And you know, that's the key. They respected one another, but raced hard all day long.
You know, a lot of people have different opinions of road course racing. but it's so cool to sit there and watch the race, and you got 10 or 12 guys you're following. Everybody's on a different agenda with a different plan, trying to make their plan work. And to me, to see all that going on really makes for a great race.
There is so much more to it than just driving the race car. And one other twist that has been thrown in is the winner has the option of taking the inside or the outside on the restarts. In a moment, we're going to get a chance to ask Kasey Kahne just why they choose their starting position for the restarts and how he did it so well. It is never easy to win a race in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It is even harder to win a race at a road course. But when you put those two together with restart after restart, bullet after bullet, you had to dodge. But Kasey Kahne, you did that today. You are now among the ranks of road course winners. Congratulations. It must feel great to be back.
It feels great to win a race, and then at a road course is unbelievable for myself. We've qualified well here before, run really strong at points of the race, but never finished very good. And we just had an awesome Budweiser Dodge Charger all day. Racing with Tony at the end is, I mean, to beat him and to race with him for that many laps is pretty unreal to me, because he's as good as it gets.
Kasey, I want to talk about the restarts, and obviously for you, it was a lot of them at the end. But your car was really, really strong on those restarts. You were able to get some separation and then did a great job of holding Tony off.
Yeah, and, I was able to, pick the restart line. And that's what, NASCAR put this rule or this new restart deal to make it more exciting. And I'll tell you what, it's nerve-wracking as can be. No matter where you're at, and leading like that, picking your lane, still it's nerve-wracking. And but it puts on a good show. I think the fans enjoy it, and that's what it's all about.
Well, the 83 car in initial restart picked the other lane. What made you pick the outside lane?
Well, when Kyle was up front, he chose the inside lane, right. And to me, he made it to the lead, but it was really close, and then I beat the 87. He tried it, and I took the outside from there. And I just thought it might work. Kenny Francis actually said, "Hey, don't listen to me, but I would suggest that."
Oh, yeah, don't listen to me, but.
And I was thinking inside, so I was like, "All right, I'll listen to you. I'm gonna do it."
What were you thinking, when you finally got the lead, and you get the first restart? I mean, what's going through your head when all these good, accomplished road racers, guys that's won, are right on your heels?
Well, we had came through the field. We had taken tires and came through the field, just basically followed the 14 and picked off probably 15 or 20 so cars by passing them. And we had fresher tires, but we drove through there. So, we got going. And then to have those guys up there with me was just, I didn't know I was leading for one. And then Kenny's like, "You're the leader now." And I'm like, "What? We're the leader?"
Yeah, so being a leader inside of Richard Petty Motorsports, did you guys put any extra pressure on yourselves, you and Kenny, to go out there and win a race for them, for the organization?
Well, I feel, I don't know how long it's been since Richard Petty Motorsports has won a race, but, we try to do it every single year. And working with Kenny Francis, Keith Roden, our entire team, I feel like we have an opportunity. I feel like we have one of the best teams out there. Even when we're finishing 20th, I still feel like our team is one of the best teams, and that's why we've stuck together over the last few years.
This is important today. After today, 10 races left. We talked about it when you were on our show a couple weeks back. This has to be a big shot in the arm for this chase, getting closer to this top 12. You're only 3 points out.
3 points out of 12?
3 points out of 12.
Wow, that's a big gain.
Yeah, it is.
In one weekend.
Yeah. How important?
Yeah, I mean, that's really important. That's what everybody, the fans, I go and do a question and answer. I was in Washington this week, and one of the questions at Q&A every single time is, what do you think about, can you make the chase? And it's a huge part of it. It's huge for the sponsors, the team, the drivers, the fans love it. So, yeah, it's big, and we have to figure out how to put that number 9 car in there.
Kasey, what was the difference this time? Obviously, you sat on the pole here last year, so your cars have been fast. But if you look at your record before this race, you had mixed results. What was the difference today? Because once you got up front, nobody could touch
Gone.
We were, I think myself just having more experience. I'm a dirt track driver. I don't know how to drive road courses. So I think myself having more experience has helped a lot. Just working with the car. Last year we were super loose, just no forward drive in the race. So we worked on that a lot yesterday on how can we get more forward drive and still have the front really positive. And I think those were the two biggest things.
You talked before, Kasey, about how you and Tony kind of came from the same platform of racing and have driven for the same owner before. How cool is it to be out there with your friend and comrade and rival on the racetrack, Tony?
Oh, it's cool, but it's definitely edgy because you know how good he is, and you can't make one little mistake or he will, he'll take advantage of it. So I was able to hang on. I think he didn't mean to pull me over. They were throwing a Budweiser on him, and he was shaking my hand and kind of pulled me back and didn't even realize it. But good thing I could jump.
Hey, it's about time somebody threw something on Tony Stewart in victory lane that was wet. He usually gets us.
Yeah, they threw some beer on him.
Good.
We're good.
Okay, good.
Casey, the team has seemed to struggle. Last year you had you won the next All-Star race, you back it up with the 600 and then poker, and then it seems like the whole team has struggled. What have they done differently? All three of Petty cars in the top 10. What have you guys been working on to finally get this thing rolling again?
Well, truthfully, I think we started behind at the start of this year. Our cars were behind, our engines were behind. We've made gains with our cars, a lot of gains with our cars, and I feel like they're very competitive with the rest of the field. Since Darlington, I feel like we could have finished top 10 every single weekend. We didn't, but we could have with the way our car was handling and what Kenny Francis does each week. And then the engines are getting better. I've raced the new engine twice, which is a bonus. It's a little bit better, and they keep working on it. So it's just hard work by the team, by the people back at Richard Petty Motorsports, and letting us do it, letting us charge. I mean, we have to. It's the only way you can keep up with all these other guys in this crowd. You have to stay just moving at all times and trying to make things better.
And one thing I knew in this race last year that really hurt you guys was your fuel mileage. And you just looked like your guys still had plenty of power, but they did the little things they needed to do to give you the complete package.
Yeah, they definitely, we had a great carburetor today. We had some, and the engine still ran really strong. I felt like it was comparable to anybody out there. So, to have that much power, make the mile, be able to do it in 2 stops, which we did, it just played into our favor today. It worked out well.
Casey, congratulations, man. Way to go.
This Bud's for you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
All right, way to go, Casey Kane. You're a winner here on the road course, and actually we had Casey tethered to the desk. We won't let him go. And these fans aren't leaving anytime soon. They're still crowded around here congratulating Casey. And also Bank of America wants to congratulate Casey Kane on the win. Congratulations to Casey Kane from NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. We'll be back with the King in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. It could be a new fashion in hats there as the King, Richard Petty, is back in victory lane. You got to go back to 1999 when Johnny Andretti was driving the famous 43 at the Martinsville short track. They had a win there, and we weren't doing this victory lane show, so we're happy to welcome the King, Richard Petty, up for the first time after a win.
I'm happy to finally get here with y'all. Okay, I've been watching you on TV, and you've been aggravating me, but I've been. I just
we tend to aggravate a lot of people, Rich. I don't know why, but now you guys, had a definite building process to start this year, a definite plan. Is this in your plan to win this early, or did you think it was going to take longer?
Well, I thought I was going to win Daytona, and it was about 20 seconds too short on the rain. But you don't never know. You put it together. You do the best you can. You put the right people you think in the right place. And we've had some pretty good running cars this year. Just something's come up to bite us. So I sat there on the last 3 or 4 laps and said, okay, maybe won't nothing bite us this time. Jerry Nadeau was leading the race out here, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, and tore her in out on the last lap. And we lost the race. So until he got to start-finish line, I wasn't counting anything.
I could go on for an hour with you, Richard, but I got to ask you this. 200 wins. You have seen everything in this sport. How much has it changed in the last few years with all the engineers and just everything involved, wind tunnels and, chassis pull-downs and all that thing?
Well, yeah, used to a lot of the things that we do today, you looked at the factories to take care of. A lot of the engineering, a lot of wind tunnel stuff, all that kind of stuff. Now we do it all on our own. So when we look at that part, it's changed so much, but the whole world's changed, okay? I mean, look at the airplanes or look at the motorhomes you run of and restaurants you eat. Everything is upgraded. We've upgraded and maybe a little bit faster than some of the other businesses, but we're no different than anybody else. We just keep going forward.
King, I know that Casey Kane ended up in victory lane, and that's the one everybody will remember, but really the sign of an organization that's improving is you guys had 3 cars in the top 10 today. Reed had a good run going, had some problems, but the 44 and the 19 had some problems early and stayed, kept their head down and got back in the top 10. A good overall day for you guys.
That's where good teams do. Okay, good teams recover something. And the cars ran really good. They just had bad luck. They got a lap down. They was able to make them back up, and then they were able to really run and show what they really had. So it's just one of those days where more things felt right for us than they felt bad. Lately, we just had more bad things than we have good things.
You know, Richard, and you're probably one of the best examples of this. You go through some tough times. How important is this win going to be for the rest of this year? Casey's 3 points out of a shot at the chase.
You know, sometimes it starts momentum. Sometimes it's just a blimp in the scale. And the big deal is that all the boys, the drivers, the crews, guys that work on the car know they can do it. Okay, they know if they work and everything falls their way, they got a chance to win. So if nothing else, the morale will come up. And then when the morale's up, naturally, you're going to do a little bit better. So it just takes it all to make it work.
Were you as close to being out of the racing business as everybody said you were last year? I mean, if it weren't for this deal with the Gillette family and Richard Petty Motorsports coming about, we might not be seeing you here as an owner?
No, you know, we're pretty hard-headed people from the country down there, and whatever the situation, we make it work some way, shape, or form. And we tried something last year, and then the economy fell all to pieces, so we were caught with that part. And then we were able to join with the Gillette crowd and bring a couple of cars in. He had a couple of cars, so, you know, everything's working out right now anyway.
King, this is a good start for you guys getting this victory. But at the end of the day, you guys have got to compete with and beat the Hendricks and the Roushes and those kind of guys. Where are you guys now, and what's the next step for you guys as you try to get on an even keel with them on a consistent basis?
We got a long way to go, okay? Basically, they got a heck of a head start. You know, 20 or 30 years that we don't have, okay? And even though the Gillette crowd's been together for 8 or 10 years, it's still a different crowd, different circumstances when I came in and brought some of my people in. So we're in the building process like everybody else. And so, you know, to be able to catch up overnight just with one race that we happen to win. Okay, we got to go back next week and prove it. You can win all the races behind you. The most important race is the one in front of you. So that's what we're going for.
Yeah, but you know what, though? The king is back.
Yes. There is no name or no image more synonymous with NASCAR racing than this guy right here. Richard Petty, congratulations on the victory. Good to see you here.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you spending some time.
Thank you, man.
We're going to take another break, but when we come back, we'll take you through the rest of the highlights into the checkered flag that Kasey Kahne took away from Infineon Raceway today. Hear all the dramatic scanner conversations from the Twisty Race at Infineon and Radioactive. You'll hear and experience the race in a way you haven't seen or heard before. Find out exactly what went on, and we'll look forward as well on This Week in NASCAR, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Now let's get you back to the highlights. We're going to pick them back up on lap number 41. Everybody had pretty much come through a pit rotation and a cycle of fuel, and Denny Hamlin in the number 11 was your leader at the time.
Yeah, and Denny really had a lot of forward grip in this car. We saw him and Kurt Buschby when we left off. These guys were challenging each other, but Denny starts to pull away here, Hermie.
Yeah, he had a good race car all day, and he was out front. That's where you want to be, not racing anybody, not anybody right on your heels. Denny was doing a good job. But here's the 19, Elliott Sadler. We talked about it. Turn 10, Jimmy just missed the mark a little bit, backed into the fence.
And at this point in the race, you're saying, oh, my God, this guy is out of it. You know, you spin out here, you get a lot of damage as you see him making a pit stop here. Under green fans,
Actually,
pit stop.
He had to make 2 pit stops. He came in for a stop, had to come back in and take the rear bumper cover off. So went a lap down, but made a good comeback.
Yeah,
so
his day's over.
Yes, very good work by the pit crew to get him back out there. And here we see David Rudiman go for a spin after getting into it with the 48.
And we talked about before the race, David Rudiman, this is a racetrack that he has struggled at. He needed a good day. He didn't get it.
And here comes the 71. He bumps the 1 car of Martin Truex, and
after he let him borrow his car.
Yeah, that's the truth. You're right. That's a good point.
See if he'll let him borrow another car. No, he
gets involved. Flat left rear tire for Mark Martin, and really put him down at this point in the race. Mark running pretty strong, but unfortunately he had just made all the adjustments to his car. He was in great shape, but cut the left rear tire down.
Not the kind of day Mark Martin was looking for, as he was looking for perhaps another fuel mileage win like he got at Michigan last weekend, and wasn't quite to be for the number 5 today.
And Matt Kenseth, the same thing. He gets spun around right there in the S's. And Jimmy, this track is so narrow. When somebody spins, the track is blocked, and you got dust everywhere. You don't know which way to go.
This was your defending race champion at the time, Kyle Busch, in the 77 of Sam Hornish Jr. Take a look from the in-car.
Yeah, the 18 just runs into the 77. Didn't intend on doing that. He just overbroke in the 77, then carries a little bit of speed, catches the 18 car, and both of them ruined their day.
And the 83 car actually ran across the nose of the 18 and cut his tire, sent the 83 to pit road.
A lot of damage on the number 18 car, and that's going to take him some time on pit road and lose very valuable track position.
Yeah, Johnny, he even lost a lap here, and he had said that, you know what, my day's done, boys.
So here's a pit stop for the number 11. He looked like he was going to be a race-winning contender for the majority of the race, and so was Kurt Busch, but a little bad luck will befall Kurt Busch coming up here in just a moment, because he has yet to win on the road course, and same with Denny Hamlin.
But both of these guys making pit stops, you know, and giving Tony Stewart the lead here, but this is what was puzzling to me. The 14, you know, stayed out a lot longer than those guys did, and I'm like, what are these guys up to? But you know what? This is lap 75. He finally makes his pit stop.
Yeah, and he pitted just at the right time, because as you'll see, some other guys got caught out, especially Robbie Gordon, who was right behind Tony Stewart. He did not pit and got caught on the racetrack and ruined Robbie Gordon's day.
It was devastation for Robbie Gordon, because he was trying to make sure he saved enough fuel in his car. A couple laps might have been the difference between making it to the end or not. And this could have been devastation for Marcus Ambrose as he gets back on the racetrack. Nowhere to go, hits him Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, that's a bad situation, fans. Who do you want to blame there? I just think it's the racetrack. There's not a lot of area there. They have that little bit of run to the actual racing surface. And, you know, Ambrose is down as low as he can. Bobby, you know, is not in the greatest position, but boy, he is very unhappy with the situation.
Now here's why Robbie Gordon is unhappy at the time. He did not get to pit road before the caution came out, so he went from first to, 28th?
Yeah, right inside the top 25. He had to pit under caution, and that's opposite of what you want to do every other racetrack we go to, JR. But if he'd have pitted one lap earlier, he'd have still been in the top 5.
Now, earlier in the show, we talked to Kasey Kahne about picking the inside or the outside lane when it comes to these double file restarts. Shootout style.
Shootout style.
And he decided to go the opposite way than a lot of other drivers did. But here on the road course, you're darned if you do or darned if you don't.
Well, and the thing that was funny, we heard him say that, you know, is it better to be on the inside or the outside? And he watched on the restart Kyle Busch not get the start that he needed, but yet he watched Vickers get the start. And the thing that was, I think, good about the double file restart, not a lot of room, Hermie, as we saw Marcus coming out of the pit. And that's turn 1 and catching the 96. So guys did a great job on these restarts.
What makes it tricky here on this restart is you go past the start-finish line. Turn 1 is a left-hander, right back to turn 2 for a right-hander. So you can be on the inside for one corner, the outside for the other. But Kasey Kahne said something a lot of drivers don't always say. He listened to his crew chief. Crew chief sit right here and watch the restarts all day long. And he told Kasey Kahne, I'm not telling you what to do, but this is what I suggest. It worked out for him.
Well, there's 30 laps to go now, and we're going to come back. But, you know, I'm saying to myself, there's no question in my mind, Kasey Kahne is not good enough to beat this 14 of Tony Stewart. Let's face it, Tony Stewart, one of the best road racers to hit our sport in a long, long time. And I'm saying to myself, no question that this 14, everything is played into his hand. Darian Grubb comes on the radio and says, all right, Tony, you can let her go now. We're done for the day. And Tony had his car where he wanted it. So I'm saying to myself, it's over. The 14 is going to win this race.
But these races are never over until the checkered flag waves, especially on the road course when you have the fuel mileage concerns, and also you have a lot of other great drivers out there as well. Friday on Speed, NASCAR rocks the quiet hills of New Hampshire. Coverage begins with NASCAR Live at 11:30 Eastern, and don't miss Brian Vickers on trackside at 7 Eastern. NASCAR on Speed, be there. Infineon Raceway was the home today of the first of 2 road course races for NASCAR's Sprint Cup, and this one certainly was not over until the final laps. A series of restarts put some of NASCAR's best to the test as we wound down this 350-kilometer race. Welcome back to Victory Lane, everybody. Now we're going to take you through the last 30 laps of the race, and this is where things got very interesting with 2 of the best in the business up front and battling for position. And here we go with another one of the restarts. And look at Kasey Kahne jumping out.
And we said about the restarts, he withheld 4 restarts, which is unheard of. And Hermie, what great forward grip he gets here, taking it away from Tony.
Yeah, especially right there, coming off turn 2, headed into 3-8. Good run off that corner. He always got that 4 or 5 car length lead in the first couple corners, then he stabilized it.
Here we see that 7 sometimes cannot be that lucky of a number as the 71 and the 77 get into each other.
Yeah, you know, just getting later on in the race, not a lot of laps to go.
Boom.
And then he takes out the 71. And this ruins the 77's day without a question. But, you know, that corner, we see a lot of guys just over braking and getting in that corner, and that's what causes that frustration.
Another restart, double file once again, and Casey Kane decided to go, would you call that, Hermie, the outside lane there?
Yeah, he took the outside. On turn 1, he's actually on the outside, but hit track position for turn 2. Jimmy, it surprised me that he kept picking the same lane, and Tony Stewart was never able to do anything with him.
And what shocked me there was that the 42 got by Tony Stewart. And I said, holy cow, what's going on here? Double fall restart, great. But now, you know what? Look at Kurt Busch right here, sitting fourth. But look at this bold move by Tony Stewart. Back on the inside of Juan Pablo. This is great racing, Hermie.
It really is, but that's something Tony Stewart will have to be addressing moving forward on these road courses. These restarts were not his friend today.
And Kurt Busch was running very well in this race, but look what happens when he gets into it with Jimmy Johnson. He goes for a spin.
He doesn't get into it. He's ahead of the 48 here. I'll be quick to criticize. The 48 needs to lift. He doesn't. He spins Kurt Busch out of running 4th place, puts him in the wall. Not a good decision by Jimmy Johnson. I truly believe that Jimmy Johnson could have used a lot better judgment on this move, Hermie.
Yeah, it's just not very much room through these S's, but these guys were getting down to crunch time. And, you know, these guys that get this point in time, they're not going to be as much give and take. But Kurt Busch definitely got the wrong end of that.
Now you decide, you be the judge by watching this. Is this a give or take nothing or give nothing away? As the number 11 of Denny Hamlin squeezes Marcus Ambrose to the outside, and no one wants to let Marcus back in.
Yeah, Denny's trying to drive and give hand signals out the window at the same time, so they just about ran out of room. But Marcus Ambrose would not be denied today, Jimmy.
No, he wouldn't. He had a strong car. And, you know, here we go. Watch this restart. Tony on the inside spins the tires. And in turn, what I'm getting here for this, look at the lead that Casey gets. Now there's Juan Pablo again on the outside of Tony. So, you know, the end result here is that big restarts, Casey got good jumps and in turn allowed himself to get away, and then Tony fighting back with the second place here with Juan Pablo.
At this point in the race, among the top 12 drivers, only 2 have won on a road course before, and that would have been at the time Juan Pablo and Tony Stewart. But look at Marcus Ambrose. Doesn't care who's won where before. He's making his way to the front.
That's 2 really good road racers right there. Very impressive for Marcus Ambrose to be able to outbreak Juan Pablo into turn 7.
Yeah, especially, you know, they're only 2 guys at this point in the race. You know, Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo have won at Sonoma, actually won on the road course. So we're seeing a lot of great racing here getting in the final laps.
And this is a real shame here at this point. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was running 10th, was poised for a great road course finish, and was just simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
This is a chain reaction deal. Carl Edwards got into the turn 4 too hot, got into David Reagan, who was also having a good run. He got into the 88, all she wrote.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s day ended on a sour note because it was going pretty well before, but now we go up to the front with the top 3 on this day, and there were 3 of the best cars. And remind you that at the beginning of this race, Marcus Ambrose started at the back of the pack.
No, but Casey Kane's car, you know, you say to yourself at this point, you would think that he would be rattled. Hermie and I was talking off the break. That you know, I really believe that, you know, we're going to see Tony really push the issue and Casey make a mistake. There's Marcus Ambrose sitting 3rd. We know he's a very accomplished road racer. He's saying, I'm in the capper seat. And at times, he was turning faster laps than both of these guys, Hermie.
Think we're done with the cautions yet? Nope. 87 goes for a spin, and that was not Joe Nemechek driving that car, but Scott Speed, and he was stuck on the racetrack. Caution came out once again, and that set up a green-white checker, and Casey Kane must be in the cockpit of this car thinking, what in the heck is going on?
But he's able to do it again, JR. I mean, no tricks, no games. He steps on the gas and he takes off faster than the 14, Jimmy.
A tremendous amount of forward grip, and we can't explain to you fans how important that is. When you can get full throttle as quick as you can and pull away, it's like being on the ice. When you step on the ice and you can't get traction, Casey Kane wasn't on ice today, as you see him come across the start-finish line, Hermie. He had the forward grip.
And he did a great job because he had a lot of things to going his way, JR. A lot of restarts, a lot of things going through his mind, but he kept his cool, hit his marks, and took this car to victory lane.
Yeah, but I got to say this bud is for you.
So for the 10th time in Casey Kane's career, he's on top of the board at the end of a race, and the first time ever on a road course. Tony Stewart, another strong second, and that's going to bode very well in the points. And how about Marcus Ambrose?
Yeah, you know, Marcus Ambrose, another solid run. You know, we're big fans of Marcus, and I'll tell you what, the guy's a great guy, a great racer, another solid run. But Denny Hamlin, once again, battling in here, top 5. Juan Pablo needed that. He'll move into the top 12 in points. And Carpentier for Michael finishing 11th.
He had a good run. Max Pappas also 12th place finish. Good run for him. Carl Edwards, good run. Jamie McMurray, Kurt Busch rebounded from that spin, Jimmy, to get a top 15.
Incredible. Vickers, we saw the trouble he had started on the pole, 16th. You know, Newman, Kansas. Joey Logano running strong all day long. Top 10, top 5, not indicative of his finish.
All right, on back in the field, we start to get into some cars who had some rough breaks throughout the day. Boris Said was up front a lot more. His finish is definitely not indicative of where he ran all day. Kevin Harvick spent a little bit of time in the top 10 as well. His day didn't work out the way it looked like it was going to work out. Johnny Andretti in the 34 got in the practice wreck, ended up finishing in the 30th position. And Jeff Burton, when it comes to the points, was the car that took the biggest hit today as he drops out of the top 12.
Jeff Burton dropped out. David Rudiman also had a bad day. Both of those guys needed to get top 5, top 10 finishes today. Didn't get them.
And also Mark Martin had a bad day there, guys. These three guys here. Brandon Nash had a decent run going, got really tore up at the end. Blaney parked it, P.J. Jones parked it. But you know, the thing is, this race really makes it different here, fans. You know, Tony Stewart from 1st to 12th now, 447. But the key here is new players. Mark Martin drops all the way back to 11th. Juan Pablo goes to 12th.
I think Juan Pablo is for real. I mean, we know he's good here, but he's been running well on all different kinds of racetracks.
And what a boost that would be to Earnhardt Ganassi Racing right now if they could have a representative in this championship chase when it comes.
They need it. There's no question in my mind that Chip Ganassi Racing, DEI, he's not ever been in the top 12 for the chase. The team is struggling. There's no question about it. Trying to keep sponsors and stuff. Good day for Juan Pablo, good day for Ganassi, DEI Racing. That's what I like about today.
All right, a lot of things to like about today, and it was a very popular victory here for Kasey Kahne in the number 9. The fans stayed around for a long time to cheer Kasey. He's the big winner. We'll talk to some of the other guys who had good days and bad days in just a moment. This Thursday night on an all-new wreck, Dwight is teaching a new O'Hare driver the rules of the road, but when mechanical problems threaten to send the job up in flames, the rookie gets a first-hand lesson on how dangerous the towing business really is. Wrecked, Life in the Crash Lane, Thursday night at 10 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Well, O'Hare did not have to come and rescue Tony Stewart today. As a matter of fact, he got his car off this racetrack in very good shape with a second-place finish, and what looks in better shape than that is the fact that Tony is now still on top of the points for the first time in 17 seasons. An owner-driver is up there, and after the race, Bob talked to the man who's leading the points and came home second.
Tony Stewart and the 14 bunch keep on rocking and rolling with these good finishes, but what do you think, second today?
Well, you want to win that race and get the 10 extra bonus points for sure going into the chase, but man, it's, you know, to see Kasey get his first road course win, that's pretty cool, and a guy that I've got a lot of respect for and have raced with a lot. So if you lose, you don't mind losing to a guy like that. He just never made a mistake. I mean, he hit his marks every corner, and the one time he did make a mistake, we were able to close there a little bit, but couldn't do anything with him. So he just did an awesome job of hitting his marks every lap.
And you had a bunch of chances on those double file restarts, man.
Yeah, we definitely weren't in the right side of the line for sure, but you know, it made us feel good that we were able to fight and hold on to second with the line that probably wasn't the preferred line on restarts.
9th top 10 in the last 11 races for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Bob, those are some pretty impressive numbers for Tony, and especially impressive coming here and almost getting yet another win as an owner-driver combination.
Is that Tony Stewart in that interview happy that he ran second and happy for Kasey?
You know,
the diplomatic
happy Tony.
And I marked this down, Hermie, class. And I guess my point here, fans, is this is why the fans are starting to really rally behind Tony. You know, good friends with Kasey. He could get up there and messed up with Kasey, but he doesn't race that way. He races hard to win. But Hendrick, that's the key here. Hendrick has changed so many men in this garage area, Tony Stewart being one of them, and I think it's good for the sport.
We're seeing the new Tony Stewart, and the fans are really responding to it, no question about it.
A different story about 10 years ago with fans.
No question. He'd be knocking people out the way trying to get out of the racetrack.
So your camera's a couple grand. What's it matter? Get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's great to see that. And somebody very happy with a second place finish, because you should be happy with a second place here. It's pretty rough to get accomplished. So we're going to pack it up from here in just a moment here from Sonoma. But next week, don't forget Saturday on Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Trades paint in Memphis as Matt Crafton, Ron Hornaday, and Mike Skinner battle for the championship lead. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Memphis Saturday at 5:30 Eastern. Be there.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by Touch of Gray from Just for Men, and by the new Toasty Torpedo. Quiznos, toasty.
Man,
California's wine country has given us an amazing backdrop for our race here. And also this week we saw some excitement on the racetrack, and that was given to us courtesy of Casey Kane. But also, perhaps one of the biggest stories today has to be that of Marcus Ambrose. After blowing the engine in practice and then getting in a practice accident, he came back from the back of the pack to finish P3. Let's go back to Bob Dillner.
In hockey terms, Marcos Ambrose would be a plus 40 today, up 40 spots to finish third. That was an impressive run, Marcos.
Yeah, just really proud of my team. JDG Daugherty have entrusted me to drive their car, and with the help of Michael Waltrip Racing, you know, they give me great stuff. We had a bad day yesterday, blew motors up, crashed the car. And when you're down like that, the team just got around me, just voiced their support and gave me the confidence to really get out there and stay aggressive, because that's what you got to be. You got to be on the edge and you got to be aggressive. And we took our chances today, got lucky a couple of times. I thought I was going to hit the fence there when Hamlin ran me out of room. And somehow we squeezed through and finished.
It was a bit rough and tumble. In fact, you and Juan Pablo Montoya with a great battle.
Yeah, I mean, Juan's just an awesome driver. When you're racing around Juan, Indy 500 winner, Formula One race winner, you know you're doing it. And I raced him hard, he raced me hard. Hopefully I gave him enough room, and I just love racing him. You know, I love racing Jimmy Johnson and Smoke and all the guys. You know, it's just a real thrill to be here and be part of it.
18th in points now, something to build on, mate?
Maybe. Who knows? I don't really care about points. I just want to look good.
Well, he was looking good today on the road course here at Sonoma, his best career finish.
Yeah, and you know, Frankie Kerr's crew chief guys also look very good for that strategy. And Jimmy, you had mentioned when you saw him coming in that early, and everybody on the race broadcast said it too. This is either going to be a hero or zero move. This is either going to be really great or it could be devastating.
Well, you know, and Hermie, you said that it was important that he was in a lot of traffic in the situation. But you know, he blew an engine up, he crashed. Well, not really crashed, but him and Jimmy Johnson got together. But here's his engine blowing, and you know,
and that really blew up. That's
yeah, and he said to himself, he qualified third. He's going, holy Toledo, where do I go now? You go from third to 43rd. But Hermie, you had said it, that was a good decision by Frankie Kerr to make that and get him out of that pack of traffic.
Well, he had to start 43rd. You know, he had a lot of work to do, and it's just like if you leave work and get in rush hour going home. You know, you can either stay in the traffic and get on the brakes, or you can get off and get you a bite to eat, let those guys move on and catch back up to him with a fresh car. And that's what they did. They did exactly what they had to do to let him have enough race car at the end to come home third.
That was an excellent analogy.
That's what it did.
Anytime you say a bite to eat, look, I had Quiznos, man, that sounded good.
You hungry, Spence?
Yeah, all right. Spencer's hungry, so I guess that means we're out of time on the show. We got to go. But first of all, we want to thank everybody here at the Infineon Raceway in Sonoma for being so hospitable to us this weekend. And also, congratulations have to go out once again to Richard Petty Motorsports and Casey Kane. Hello, young man. Thanks for joining us as well. And tomorrow on Speed, be sure to check out Twin this week in NASCAR with Steve Burns and the boys as they look ahead and look back to what happens on the weekends. But right now, we're going to say goodbye to Wine Country by taking a look in the rearview mirror.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Stretching to get ready for another victory today.
But today it's all about road course racing.
Happy Father's Day.
Inside and outside is still inside and outside.
We won't have no problems today with double file shootout style.
Give it up, baby.
And Casey Kane wins at Sonoma.